I really appreciate you being here. I'm Kathleen Voss. I'm with Falcon School District 49. I'm the Community Outreach Specialist. And when I attended our last FABA meeting, which our district had joined, Mark Carrera, who was the innovation leader for the Falcon High School zone, had asked me to join on his behalf, which I did, and I attended meetings and everything. And then the leadership at that time kind of decided that we didn't need FABA. We weren't doing a whole lot and everything. So when I attended the last meeting, we were ready to just close it up. And I know that the reputation, many of you guys are very familiar with the reputation of FABA, Falcon Area Business Alliance, that we haven't done a whole lot. And I don't like to be part of any organization that doesn't do something. And I don't think any of you guys do, and that's probably why you're here. Hopefully I've piqued your interest and Brian's piqued your interest about maybe what we have in store. So at that last meeting, I just couldn't quite let go. And so I engaged Mindy Quinn, who is our marketing and communications specialist for the district as well. And we came up with some ideas and put together an action plan that we were involved in with LMB Connectors in trying to get FABA revitalized, regenerated, and actually do some great things in our community for our community. I was a little concerned that if we let go of FABA, we would never be able to get any kind of a community business alliance group together again. And I just think that there are too many positive things that we can capture with this group that it's really in our best interest. And I will admit that it's in the best interest of the school district as well to keep our businesses fortified and together in some type of an alliance. So that's why we're here today, is to look at some type of an action plan. And I've brought LNB Connectors, Brian Swanson and Linda Sink. Brian is going to present this information. He actually has had some roots in FABA, but he's also just a great networker and a business person, and he has a lot of credibility in our community and in Colorado Springs. Yes, you do, because I said so. And so I wanted to bring him in and to talk with you guys in the lingo that is not education, but just in doing the right thing as a business community. So I'd like to turn it over to Brian. I'm going to be taking notes, and if you notice I'm not writing, please smack me over the head or something. I'm not used to doing that. So anyway, I'd like to introduce Brian Swanson, LMB Connectors. He's the B, and this is the L. Linda Sink. They run our Falcon mixers and things like that we do in our community. So please come on up and show us what you got.
Breath.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Kathleen. First thing I want to do is I definitely want to thank Kathleen, because she has seen a vision to bring something back to life that we all thought didn't have a vision anymore, that we all thought wasn't going anywhere, that she believes wholeheartedly in it, and we're going to go through a lot of that stuff. Before I do that, I want to introduce myself if you don't know me. My name is Brian Swanson. I actually live here in Falcon. I've been here now for about 6 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. Was prior military, retired Air Force back in '09. My wife retired back in '08. We found here as home, and it was really kind of amazing. When I first got to Falcon, I kind of drove into town and I went, I feel like I'm home. And after 40-some years in my life, with moving and doing all those other kind of things, it was actually heart-wrenching to be able to call someplace home. So I'm here now. I feel about the community that it needs to be taken care of. There's plenty of growth. There's plenty of opportunities out here. There's plenty of ways to draw folks out and do those kind of things. And I think this is going to be a big part of it. So with that, I also want to introduce Linda and have her give you a second on who she is. About 6-8 months ago, somewhere in that neighborhood, I actually ran across Linda at a coffee shop. It was totally a coincidental meeting because I was actually having a meeting with somebody else. She stepped in. We became good friends. We've become business partners. We grabbed a hold of something with LMB Connectors, created LMB Connectors, and have created a networking thing that is awesome for any business that's out there as far as networking and stuff like that. We're creating new and unique things. And with that, I want to at least give you a chance to meet her, and she can give you a little bit of her background. Miss Linda.
Good morning. My name is Linda Sink. I do have a little bit of military background. I'm basically martial arts, and I have a passion for education. So when we talked to Kathleen and Mindy about this, we wanted to help the community. I have a passion to help Brian. I have a passion to help businesses. And so what we're doing is connecting the community to the businesses, to the people, to help educate and bring you guys together. So I'm not going to really steal the limelight. I'm going to let him educate you guys on what you guys are here for. So please enjoy, take some notes. We'll be here for questions after.
Okay, with that, let me get back to the fact of where I come from, where my passion is for FABA. 2.5 years ago, not quite 2.5 years ago, FABA was created out of just a desire to do something that wasn't being done around the community. There's a lot of stories out there and things of that nature, but really and truly what it came down to was a group of business people who decided to do something for the community and be able to do something that other organizations were doing. Its mission was to bring organizations together, because in Falcon we've got so many organizations out there, whether it's the Knights of Columbus or the Eastern Plains Chamber or the churches or whatever. There's so many of these out there, but there's nobody really communicating. Within a community that is our size, we have about 10,000 folks. It's kind of that rough guesstimate of where we're at. Out of that, that means you have about 1,000 people. If you do the math, that's about 10%, who are actually good volunteers, who are good, strong community leaders, who are good, strong folks and volunteers who just want to help out and make things happen, and they're active and they volunteer to do things. Well, 1,000 is a very small amount if you start thinking about who's all in the churches and who's all in these other organizations that are out there. There's not a whole lot of bleed over. There's some volunteers that bleed over, but there's no communications between all of those organizations. So that's where FABA really and truly started. It got its heart at. But apparently that didn't work. Okay, I hate to say it, it didn't work. There were some leaderships. I was probably one of them. I'm willing to fess up to that one, but there was some leaderships and things in the beginning that was really slow. Then FABA changed leadership again. At that point, I don't know what happened. I kind of stepped back. I didn't really watch, but what I did is I got a rationalization when Kathleen walked up to me and said, "There's nobody else left around." And I went, "What?" Okay, so let's see if we can bring this back. We want Kathleen, Mindy, and some others have had some great information, and that's what we want to share with you. So what we want to do is we want to actually work towards revitalization in the community. There's a lot of folks out there that say, if we could just open Londonderry, that's a community activity. Okay, the last time I got a report is they won't open that up because it's going to be too fast of a racetrack and too many kids take a chance of getting hurt if they're going to the elementary. Okay, well, as a community, who's going to stand up and say we need Londonderry open? Okay, maybe that's not a strong issue with you all in the room right now, but it's an example. Who's going to lead that? Who's going to take that and step up, be that organization or that community that's going to step up and say, we need it done, and here's the petitions, and here's what we want to do. County, get it done. Okay? Right now, we don't even have a quasi kind of a government here, so we need some kind of a reputation, and I feel that that's one area where FABA can really come in strong and play. And it takes strong leaders like the folks that are here in this room, all of you in this room, can pull that kind of stuff off. So we want to revitalize Falcon. We want to find out what's going on now. A lot of the misconceptions had come about with FABA that we wanted to turn around and do incorporation. I hate to throw that word out there, but I want to get it on the table. It was a big push by a couple individuals that were here before. They're no longer here. Do I think that that's vital? Yeah, I think it's vital, but it's a discussion for another day, and that is not the objective of FABA. FABA is to be working with revitalizing and working with the community to do what the community wants to do. Incorporation is a whole new subject, and that's the last I'm going to try and mention it. Okay? So what we want to do here, we've kind of changed the mission statement around with Kathleen and those, to provide an alliance for all businesses that serve the Eastern Plains community by way of education and community involvement. Our country is in a position now where we're going into self-employment, home-based businesses, things of that nature. How do they, and the question is how do those folks get that information? Well, that information that they need in order to be successful within their businesses, which in turn, as you know, will grow our community. If there's money coming into our community, there's money going into the community. Okay, did that make sense? Anyway, we do that through education. We do that through community involvement. We do that by bringing people together to make things happen. So I think this is a very valid mission statement. Now, with the way that we've organized FABA, or trying to reorganize the way I'm going to present it today, none of these things are set in concrete. Okay? It's not set in concrete that this is the way that it's going to be. What we want to do is we want to bring you guys on, or somebody that has leadership who can take this and take it to the vision and to the mission that we have. Things can change. things can easily change within a few minutes of the first board meeting if it so happens, okay? Any questions so far? Am I good? Now, purpose is we want to provide a presence within the community, and I think we really needed to add in there a positive presence within the community. Positivity is the backbone of everything, okay? If you're positive, many things can happen. They can happen for you, and they can happen in a positive light, and it'll help out in the community. So we want to make sure we get the community there. Offer support to local businesses and organizations by providing free workshops utilizing the skills and expertise of FABA and friends. Long statement for something to say, we want to put some kind of an education together that's free and bring people in that to learn from it. Support local events by promoting volunteerism and charitable giving. Volunteerism is definitely something we need. Like I said before, there's only a few people within our community that actually do things, that actually put themselves on the line, that actually spend time away from their families to make things happen. We want to get in there and get some of that volunteerism so we can spread that workload out for those that are doing it, okay? Charitable giving. This community is a very big charitable community. However, it's not really truly being utilized if you think about it. We have a lot of military in here who stand for something. But if they're not being asked to stand, are they going to give? Okay? Is there an organization out there that's saying, we are doing good? I will point to one, Mr. Bob Miller back here with the Exchange Club. He's a prime example of what can happen in this community with what his organization has done and what he's led them to do. Okay? Provide an additional avenue to educate community and the local businesses. One of the things that that I have found out, and Linda and I have learned and found out, is the community storefronts, if you will, they're tied down. They're tied down between the hours of whatever it is they run, 9 to 6, 9 to 7, 9 to 9, whatever the case may be. How can we solve that problem and get this education to them? Where can we open the doors for them? Where can we help them garner their businesses? How can we do that? Those are questions that FABA really needs to ask. Support the Eastern Plains students and educators by recognition and scholarship. Recognition and scholarship is out there. Okay? There's tons of scholarship possibilities out there, but you've got to find them. The other thing is, too, if you want to maintain, because one of the biggest issues within the community of Colorado Springs right now is how do we maintain individuals in the community once they're educated? They'll come to CSU or come to the colleges here, they'll get educated, and then they move to Greeley. Then they move to Golden. Then they move to wherever they want to go, Kansas or whatever the case may be. They come here, but they leave. Well, how do you hold them in here? So we have to ask the same question within our community. We have a college here too, and it's not the only reason, but how do we make this place grow by holding on to those kids that are here? And how do we get them to come back if they do go out someplace else and get educated, such as DU or whatever the case may be? We want to make sure that they know that their community cares about them and that we need them to grow this community. That way we create another generation that will just carry on what we want to present to them. Develop the Eastern Plains Business Directory. Eastern Plains Business Directory, I don't recall who does it, but there is a Falcon directory, correct? Who actually puts that together? Does anybody know? Crystal Blaylock actually puts that together?
Well, she does. She collects all the advertising monies and the artwork. I think there's a third party that's involved in the actual printing.
Okay, well that's great. I love Crystal. I wish she was here. But with Crystal doing the Falcon thing, I don't think it expands out into the Eastern Plains. I don't think it spreads out into Peyton. It doesn't spread out into Calhan. It does it?
It's Falcon. It's called Falcon Peyton Directory.
Okay. Well, what about Calhan? What about all those other little burgs that are along the lines that there are people out there that have the same concerns, have the same businesses?
Well, and we're talking about an electronic one that's free to put together. So we're not talking about trying to buy advertising or sell advertising or whatever. But this would be available to anyone that has an internet, you know.
So these are all ideas. These are the purpose. This is the things that we want to serve. It's not a point of this is what we're going to do. What we're going to do, or what FABA is going to do, is going to be dependent on the leaders and what they bring together and make happen. Participation in the vision. Attend monthly FABA leadership meetings. These are some of the things that we asked to happen because we learned that the fact that some people don't do this stuff. And in order to be a successful organization, you've got to have it. You've got to have input. Attend monthly FABA leadership meeting and workshops. Being present is setting the example. We all know as business leaders, those who are in business and those who even aren't, that if we're going to do something, we've got to set the example if we expect somebody else to do it. Actively fundraise for FABA community service projects as agreed upon by the leadership. Get out there, get around the town, talk to people, get the donations by those who can support and those kind of things. Make things happen. Provide volunteer support at community levels. The highway cleanup, that's still in play. For many of you that were here before with FABA, understand that we still have a sign out on 24. Well, that hasn't been actively taken care of by FABA just because of the fact that there was no participation. Okay? What's all those?
Okay, FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America. DECA is the, and it's their national organizations. DECA is a marketing group, and then HOSA is the Health Occupations Student Association. And all of these organizations have competitions that students qualify for and win and are recognized. Right. And so they're always putting out, and I've sent things out to most of you to help judge for some of these, for some of the competitions, and they do them locally. A lot of them are local, but then they have some in Vail and Loveland as well.
Okay. So my thing is, I mean, understanding who they all are, what does that mean to us as business people? What does that mean to us as community people, or people of the community? It means a lot of things. First of all, it means possible scholarships through DECA and FBLA and HOSA. It means for our kids. Okay? It can mean that. It can mean money that you save for your kids because they got a scholarship and you were part of the judging or whatever. I don't know the rules and all that kind of stuff. But you got to be participatory in order to make those kind of things happen. That is giving back to our community. It's not just the fact that I'm going to sit on the board so that I look good so that I can sell more insurance. Okay? That's not what it is. It means giving back to the community. It goes so much farther than just sitting on a board, wasting an hour, wasting 2 hours. That's not what it means. We want FABA as an organization and the participants to understand that there's so many opportunities out there that reaches out so far across our own communities. Reach out to local business and increase awareness of FABA and FABA networking opportunities. We really want to get the word out about FABA. We want, like we said before, we want to get the positive light out there. We want to get it going. We want to make sure that everybody knows it's there. We want to make sure that we have people that are participants within it, okay? There's a lot of those local businesses out here that are storefronts and stuff like that that said, I would be a member, but. I would be a member if. Well, a lot of that's all on back history. We're at a point now where FABA is basically down to one member, straight up, okay? No fooling around here, nothing covered. We got one member left in FABA, and it can be revitalized just by asking for participation. So leadership roles. Scholarship committee. We want to produce something along the lines of a scholarship committee where it's responsible for determining and coordinating fundraisers, soliciting, judging panels, all of those other kind of things. These are just ideas. These are not something that's set in stone, but these are ideas that really can get FABA moving. Workshop committee responsible for securing guest workshop speakers and venues. A lot of people will say, well, that's great, but who do we get to teach? Who do we get to bring in and do a presentation? Who do we get that has any knowledge in business? Who do we know that knows about marketing? Who knows about, I don't know, just plain and simple sales or self-improvement or development? Where do these people all come from? We're pulling from a pool of, what, 15 or 20 people here? We don't all have those experiences. Well, you're lucky enough, FABA's lucky enough to have Kathleen on board who's got contacts up the wazoo that can help with all of this kind of stuff. Linda and I, or L&B Connectors, that's what we do. We bring people together, we give them the opportunity to speak, we give them the opportunity to share their knowledge with everybody else so that everybody else can be successful. The list is endless. Pick a topic, pick a business topic, pick a personal topic. I mean, I know people out there that do nothing but presentations type stuff.
The other piece to that is utilizing FABA, your business expertise, to allow for you to present as a community program, a free workshop. We'd like to get businesses of FABA to give an hour here, that once a year, to offer a community service that we can extend not just to FABA members but the community at large. So if you're an accountant and we're coming upon tax season, Without a sales pitch, you can offer a free workshop about something that the community should know about their taxes. So that's also part of this workshop committee.
Exactly. I mean, it's all out there. Kathleen, Mindy, Brian, Linda, and I can name probably quite a few off of you out of here that have those kind of contacts too that can help and assist in that if it's not yourself personally. So leadership roles are more of them. Community engagement committee, getting out there, responsible for making sure that the cleanup happens, keeping people informed about what's going on with FABA and what's going on in the community, really and truly outreach to the community, securing volunteers. This community, we need to bring, I personally believe, and this is my own personal sentiment, we need to bring this community together. What do I mean by that? We don't have a street fair opportunity where we go down the town and we share a parade. We don't go downtown and share an activity on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. There's nothing that's set in stone. They have a tendency to get started and go away. But if we can create that sense of community, that sense of FABA, that sense of, that's an interesting one, that sense of FABA, that sense of everything, bring it all together, we can have a really successful community, which is going to be great for our kids, which is going to be great for us, and for those who are old, like me, a place to retire. Why not? So, I already flipped the chart. I knew it was there too. One of the big organizations, for those of you who understood what happened with, I mean, as far as the leadership, how it was organized with FABA, who understood that? A couple of us, okay? Some of us liked it. I'm a very big component of it or advocate of it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great way to run an organization. However, it didn't work. Okay? So what we're going to do, or what we're talking about doing, is bringing back FABA, but bringing it back with a standard setup. A standard president or a chair. These are names that can be, you can call them what you will, whether we call them chairmen, whether we call them presidents, whatever. Presidents and chair, vice president, treasurer, secretary. Rebecca Lawrence has already said that she wants to step up and do that. And then Linda and I are going to be advisors. That's the only thing we're there for. We're not going to be members. We don't plan on being members. I don't feel that it's right for me to come in, try and reorganize the thing, and then become a member of it. Okay? I don't believe in it. I don't think it's right. I think it's a conflict of interest. But Linda and I are going to be on the sidelines, whether it's with Kathleen or whoever the chairman/president is, just to say, where do we go? So in other words, some of you think that it was called a mentorship group. Well, it's not really a mentorship group. It's just somebody who really cares is what's going to happen here. Okay? Anybody got any questions on that? Okay. So the big ask questions. What expertise do you offer? Where's the surveys?
Right there.
I'm just grabbing, I don't know what I got here. So what expertise do you offer to FABA that can be utilized for community workshops? One thing that Linda and I have experienced with what we've been doing lately is the fact that everybody has a separate talent that they don't present. So like Kevin here, investments, those kind of things, he's a money guy. Well, does he work on cars? Can he help somebody out from that aspect? Is he a painter? Is he an artist? What's his military background? What experience does he have that he can share that's going to be vital to our community? So what kind of experiences on that worksheet we just passed out, what kind of experiences do you have? Just kind of jot it down. Give us an idea of what's going on, okay? Will you host a meeting with business contacts in the Eastern Plains area to help spread the word? If you have a shop, will you bring them in? Is there a place that we can actually bring FABA to meet, okay? Rebecca's place out on the plains was awesome as far as the building was concerned, but the location wasn't really conducive to doing business in Falcon, okay? Love the place, however, what do we have in Falcon? Who can offer up, or who has any ideas that you can put in there where things can be taking place at? What role would you like to serve? This meeting is really and truly a question of who wants to be a leader, who wants to help, who can do it, and who's willing to participate. I know those sound like similar questions, but they're really and truly totally separate questions. Can you lead FABA? Can you take the lead role? Do you know somebody who can take that lead role to get to the community what FABA is trying to do? So if you want to put your name down on there, what role would you like to do? And what I'm going to open this one up for general questions. You can write them down and stuff. But what other ideas do you have for expanding FABA?
One of the things that your focus at the beginning, you're talking about being involved in the community. And one of the things that I think FABA elected to do last time, maybe it wasn't their focus, but you didn't have the community participate. Maybe we need to open it up to community members, not just business members.
Okay. And nothing says we can't. That's what the board needs to decide. If you want to turn it around and nail it down to just business, the board needs to decide.
There are a lot
The
of
leadership
citizens out
needs.
there that want to volunteer, but there isn't the structure in place to do that, and I think
Right.
this would serve that.
But we all serve businesses in one way, shape, or form, so I don't see a reason why not to.
Right.
So open it up, but let leadership decide.
If you're going to be doing fundraisers and everything else, is not a 501c3?
It was never filed as such. That doesn't mean it can't be. It only takes, what, 20 minutes to do it?
Takes a long time.
Well, it takes a couple minutes to start it, but it takes, what is it, 2 years to prove it?
Right, yeah.
He's the guru, Jason's the guru on that stuff, so I look at him when that word comes up. Right. I think it's 2 years you have to act as a 501c3 or C6, whatever it is. You have to act to prove yourself.
501c3, you can grant out 100% based on the 501c4, you can grant out 50%.
Right, right. I know about this much about 501c,
And that was it,
whatever.
right?
Exactly. So yeah, if FABA wants to be that 501c3, make it happen. And I'm going to revert it back to leadership because that's really and truly where we stand these days.
Can I say something real
Go ahead.
quick? Okay, thanks. One of the things that we had talked about when we were kind of laying this whole action plan out and everything is about membership. And unfortunately, we're to the point where D49 is the only current membership, which is what's given me some leeway in being able to change some things around because apparently, according to the bylaws, the person or the
All the votes.
yeah, exactly. I get all the votes, and I'm not going to vote against me. So anyway, so we're not looking for membership at this point. I'm not asking any of you to become members. You know, if you want to be a leader, I'd love to have you be a leader, but I'm not looking for any kind of membership, and that's why we want to have a committee that can help fundraise for scholarships and things like that because. We're not going to have income in FABA for some time. I think that we have some proving to do that FABA is worthwhile before we could ever even think of asking people for money. So District 49's membership is current through the end of the year, and I'll take advantage of that. But, and also, please understand that District 49 is in no way trying to lead. So these roles we need filled by you guys. And the reason you guys are here is because you were invited to be part of this and help lay out leadership. This is not the meeting that we're inviting the rest of the business community into. We invited the people that we respect and that we know have leadership skills and have a lot of good input into helping lead this group and get us to a really positive place. So anyway, I wanted to make that clear that if you say, oh, I'm interested in being vice president, that okay, I'll take your $120 now. That's not what we're doing right now at all. We're just looking for some leadership to get going with everything, okay?
So the strategy is like she said, is not to get everybody in now to pay $120 or whatever the dues turn out to be. The strategy is to take you guys who were handpicked. Okay, literally, you guys were handpicked, invited over here because we think that you guys are leaders that can take care of things, that can make things happen in this community, and like attract like. If you're a strong leader, who else do you know that can do the same thing? Okay. Membership, we've got to kind of come up with a strategy that way. We discussed that, like she said. We just want to get it together first. Let the leadership decide, maybe starting 1 January, just throwing a number out there, just throwing a date, maybe 1 January, start back up with membership dues. Because it's going to take money to have things work. If anybody wants to see, I actually have the statement, the financial statements, what's in the bank, it's $283. Okay? It's not a whole lot of money there to take advantage of. Don't know what happened to the money in the past. I don't think there was anything suspicious with it, but that's where the bank balance sits right now, is at 283. That can get somewhere, but it's not going to get everything. So let's get strong, let's get organized, let's bring things together. Let's create FABA for what it was created for. Let's make this community happen. Now, I have to ask, do you guys all see the vision that's here? Do you see a purpose of where we can go forward with that? Because if you don't, we just spent 35 minutes that we're done. So, and I hate to see it go that way, but what do you guys think? Some input. Anybody?
I think it sounds great.
Break the ice. I love it. Bob, what do you think? I mean,
I think it's a great idea. Anything that's going to help the community, I'd be willing to work with at the same time, because the community needs a lot of help. They're relying on us. We've been in their position, so we need help.
Okay.
And then businesses, it'll follow from businesses if once the community can help.
Rebecca?
Yeah,
I didn't see you walk in. Welcome.
She's taking notes. She's taking notes, so I didn't have to, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's really important to have the involvement with the community. I think that aspect is really good. And then, of course, I've talked to Captain Cross before. The workshops would be awesome. I think that, it's going to help businesses. They'll have something where they can get involved in the business and they're going to see where they can branch out. And once we get the highway cleaned up, we need to make a date for that today.
Awesome.
Looking at this current presidential race, it made me think of the buzzwords out there, and grassroots efforts comes to mind, and
yes.
And that's what ultimately makes somebody successful in political campaigns, because they're basically selling themselves, and they bring communities together, and they really rally them around an idea or a person, and so that's why community is important. If you don't have community, you don't have business, you don't have an election, you don't win, and so that part is important. I think that reaching out to that community in a focused effort is very rare, but it's also important. So I like the vision that you're coming up with here, especially in the education department. It's not just a broad vision of making community come together, but it's saying let's get these students involved. Let's look forward, past our own noses at somebody who's going to take the ball and run with it. Once we're retired, or once let's train up some future leaders to stay in this area, because it's a great area. Falcon, Colorado Springs, and the eastern spot. I just see that exploding, and so the students are going to be a big part of that. The title of the Falcon Alliance. Or Falcon Area Business Alliance, if we are going to be involving more of the community, maybe that's something to reevaluate, as far as if the leadership wants to change that to say this is not just for businesses, and this is not just something that the businesses do for the community, it's what the community does for itself.
Right.
I mean, we can look at that. It's an idea.
It's a great idea. Now I will say one thing: the name is going to fit here in the near future, is going to fit very snugly with some other things that are happening within the community, which I can't release, but it's going to fit very snugly. So hold on to the thought until after that information comes out, and then see what happens. I don't have an exact date on it yet. I was supposed to be like within the last 30 days, and it didn't happen. It's been pushed out. Yeah, it could be as late as January, as far as I know. So. But it's just something that it could make a big difference. But I would hold on to that idea, that concept, and then find out if it's going to be a fit or not once that information is released. But
what about, I know you've asked for leadership roles, but maybe at this point a steering committee, just to kind of determine some direction. You've set down some really good ideas. We've got some more here. But a steering committee without the roles of president, vice president, might be able to solidify some of the things that we've talked about, and decide what kind of roles those would be.
I would strongly agree with that. We have a leadership meeting set up for the 29th. Okay.
August 29th.
August 29th, where?
Central office, 8 o'clock.
That's right, central office, the 49th central office at 8 o'clock. They've got, Kathleen picked up the conference room for that. Bring leadership into the room. Those who want to be leaders, let them decide. But one thing that I don't want to have a mistake happen with FABA again is a mistake that I made, and that's like by participating in a 6-month discussion. Okay? Bring leadership together, let them make a decision on how to make things run, and the basics are who's going to be this, and how are we going to run the community, or run the organization. Okay? Anybody else? John, I know you had some ideas from back when. Are you seeing some improvements here? Are you seeing some better concepts and ideas?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm fully behind supporting the community and getting people involved. I wrote some ideas down. I think, you know, the presentations obviously help D49, the student body. Potentially, I helped D20 with some things that they did for DECA and some other FBLA events. But what I like to see is more, I wrote down, for instance, organized community events, running events, maybe volleyball type things, basketball events that somewhat, you know, get us
create
together.
a cohesion.
Yeah, exactly, and maybe open the churches up to some events that we can plan and do together. Because right now everybody goes to Colorado Springs doing it.
Right.
That's a very good point.
All these are all valid points. They're all great ideas.
And you know, the huge issue that you brought up with Londonderry not being open, there's some substantial traffic problems around high school. And if anybody has kids at the high school, everybody knows. And so, just simple ideas. I called the county, hey, could you put a controlled stop at Stapleton and Eastonville? No, there's not enough traffic. Well, maybe you could just make a yield sign on the turn coming out of the high school so that you don't have to stop there, because it is just a pain. And from a fire evacuation, I don't even know if it passes that. You know, I don't know how.
We talked with the fire department and its concerns in a number of the areas. So,
in my opinion, just because I have a personal interest, that would be my lead thing that I would work on trying to do, is alleviate that concern. Because you have 16-year-old drivers driving to that school, people are stopping, and it's not a controlled intersection, but we make it because we're nice people. But you're just waiting for accidents to happen.
Well, the reason why, I think I sat through a Woodman Hills kind of a thing, it's where it actually, Meridian Ranch, where that information came out, and they said they would not ever open that up until, is because the way the medians are set, it's pretty blind on those stops, and they can't put the stop signs up based on those and the way they cross and those kind of safety concerns like that. That was their reason. I don't know if it's how valid it is or whatever.
And they were pretty forthright in the selfishness of the developer, that with the number of homes that are in Meridian Ranch right now, the percent of residents that have high school kids that are going down there is very, very low compared to the number of people who would be using Londonderry to go to the high school. And since they would be paying for the road to get put through as a developer, they're like, well, no, why would we do that until we build out?
I talked to the developer just 2-3 days ago, and it's 2014 spring, 2014 is planning on very opening.
They are going to
Wow,
then?
that's cool.
Okay. That's going to make a big difference, because I know that there are different community events in the Falcon area that people have asked me about using the school, but then they say, well, nobody can find it anyway. And I mean, I think once Londonderry is open, it's just going to be that much more accessible. We even considered having Relay for Life there this last summer, and it just was so far out. I thought, we won't get half the people that we ended up with because we did it at St. Creek. So it will open up a lot of things, and I'm sure you probably would agree. Mark had said last year that he would love to open up the school to community events, and I mean, we're all taxpayers for that school anyway, so we might as well be able to use it for things. And so again, once things are opened up, I think it makes it just that much more accessible.
And so, I hate to stop the discussion there, but we're not here to discuss that, because that becomes another community thing that can be addressed and brought up, but it is a great example. It is.
Those are my ideas that I think FABA should go out and do, in my opinion. That should be the chart. Help community development, involve the citizens, and improve our community. If we're just not doing that, then we're not doing anything for ourselves or our community.
So which position did you want? So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna leave it at that. There's some great ideas in this room. There's some areas that we see. I know Lynn and I talked about some other community things that can be taken care of. I don't remember what they all were, but I know there were some really good ideas and stuff that other folks have noticed too. If we can bring those other folks, we can bring them in. We can bring them into the community. We can just bring the community together. FABA can do that. FABA has the means to do it. It's got the idea. It has the groundwork. And it's a thing that's already in place. It needs some modifications to fix it. But that's what great leaders are for. And I know great leaders that are in this room that can make that happen. So I'm going to leave it at that. 29th of August, leadership meeting. Please attend. If you got any questions, talk with Kathleen, talk with Mindy. Mindy's really well versed on it. And Linda and I. So in any way we can help, most of you have my phone number, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Brian.